Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, dear viewers, friends, and colleagues. We're back on the Innovative Sustainability channel. Welcome. And today we have our guest, Dr. Muna Al Moussli, and she will be joining us to talk about regulatory aspects and how it influences the company's decisions, people who want to enter the Middle East market with their company or their subsidiaries, and also how it affects the rest of us contributing to the sustainability pillars. So just before she begins, it's a brief introduction. So Dr. Muna, she's a co-founder and managing director of the PRA Consultancy, and she's bringing over 2 decades of expertise in pharmaceutical and medical device regulatory affairs across the Middle East and Africa. She is also recognized industry leader, having led flagship initiatives such as GCC RA Pharma Summit, AFRI Summit, and also developed the GCC Regulatory Affairs course. Dr. Moussli actively contributes to multiple industry boards and is playing key role in advancing healthcare system and driving regulatory excellence across the region. Dr. Muna, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the channel, and let's begin.
Thank you, Marina, for having me today. My pleasure. And I'm looking forward to a very nice interactive session.
It's nice, yes. And for the viewers, today we do the podcast style. It's like question answer,
Okay,
some vivid questions. Yes, no visuals, just the conversation, but at the same time, the insights
sure,
that you cannot read in the book, and it's really from the real people here. So lay of the land. So that's Dr. Muna will help us to understand. So the
sure.
first question, it's how would you describe Middle East market? Is it a patchwork or is it continuum for regulatory systems? It's yours.
Um, yes, but I don't recommend or describe the Middle East market as a one market. I always say that it's a multi-layer market. We cannot say it's a patchwork. Each country have a different regulation. Sometimes each Emirates has a different regulation or policy frameworks. So I would say that it is moving in the same direction. They have a strong system towards compliance. However, still each of them has a different in a different situation and different layer. So we can say it's more like a multi-layer. It it is one system, but it's a randomly either we can say that it's evolving differently in the speeds from each other, but they are all going on the same direction of compliance.
Right. Thank you. So next question, kind of follow up. So what would you recommend a company or companies to navigate and meet the regulatory expectation of the country or of an emirate?
Companies should understand each market, how it goes, and operation in each local market. The success in Middle East is not by standardization globally, but it's more in localization. So I would ask the companies who's coming to our region to have something that I called local mindset or localization mindset. I would recommend from my side to have a three main pillar. One is the first, building a strong local regulatory party. So you have to have a good p- partner in regulatory, either your distributor or someone who works for you, but they have to have a regulatory updates, authority communication, classification, how it changed. I mean, they have to understand the regulatory. So regulatory in the region is evolving quickly. They need someone who recap, and it's not something that you can monitor once a year. Secondly, I would recommend engaging early with authorities, having like the communication or maybe an early scientific advice meeting with them, or maybe even a pre-submission discussion. This will help them to get the registration without delaying, and it will reduce the disapproval risks as well.
Right. So basically, building bridges, right? Like and
Yes.
finding key
So
people who actually work in that field and
Exactly.
connect.
So instead
Hmm.
of having the authorities on the other side of the road, we said you will have it on the same side of your pathway, and
Mm.
they are very keen to keep things happening and to get better healthcare sector and better insight. So I think both forces together will get a better result. The third point is investing in your local expertise. So many companies, when they start their company in the region, they get a very proactive, um, smart, good manager who is settled in any country, Germany or France or any Australia, Canada, and they will get them to the region
Mhm.
to make it happen. But I believe you need a local expert. Each region has its own uh, policies, frameworks. Yes, the standards, globally standards are the same, but still local expert is needed. They should understand the regulation with the business culture together. Local regulatory expert that you trust to build your brand in the region.
Right. So it's looking for local partners and basically who help open the door or basically help
Exactly.
to first of all to understand what's required and how to find a pathway in the ecosystem. It's not very
And Marina,
yes.
this will avoid a bit of costly assumptions that usually happen.
Yes, I think that's important part. The cost, it's like underlying, for all the activities. So it's important to definitely keep that in mind.
Yes.
Now the next one is, I think you already start talking about it, that the region is evolving, so it's undergoing surge with the new laws, with upgrading standards, shifting compliance expectations. So in
Yes.
such environment, what would you recommend companies to do?
Um, I recommend companies needs to shift their mindset from reactive compliance to proactive readiness. Instead of waiting for the changes of regulation and then adopt the regulation, I think
Mhm.
companies should be continuous monitoring regulation update and be flexible in their inner processes. The internal process sometimes it's a barrier of doing something quicker and easier, and it might not take even time. Investing in regulatory intelligence with a local expertise is really a must.
Right. So it's basically, again, it's people right behind. It's not just looking at the websites, and it's connecting with
Exactly.
real people and finding out what's necessary, what's required, how does it change, what's in the store. Because you can't read,
Yeah,
find
it's
it
more proactive than
proactive,
compliance. So we
proactive
need
command.
to be proactive more than to keep compliance. We are keeping compliance by being proactive, but proactivity is you gain a lot of things rather than just comply.
It's true. It's true. Also, direction and what's important for the market may help to even come up with new product or product that the company didn't even consider because the regulator may basically kind of share that that's the business need or the country need, and
I
it's not
agree.
very apparent, right? So that helps as well. The next
Mm.
question kind of flows from that is harmonization and international standards. So on one hand, they help partially to um, set up or to understand what's required, but what would be your perspective, your recommendation on how to increase awareness regarding local compliance obligations? I mean, that can be data management, data requirements, it can be workforce requirements. I mean, within
Mm.
that frame, yeah, your comments.
Uh, I am one of the people who always wants to do harmonization and always push harmonization. It's a very good thing and it's important so all of us can speak the same language. But harmonization gives the foundation, but execution is always a local. You cannot go with harmonization on a local level as well. Companies must understand that international guidelines are important. However, to understand also the local data expectation, workforce of the nationalization requirements, licensing structure in some countries. It depends on where you start your company. Is it mainland or a free zone? Specific, as I was talking earlier with a friend on the same, saying that the authorities sometimes the requirements they have the same compliance, but the requirements are different. For example, here in UAE, if you are in Dubai, you go under Dubai Health Authority, but if you went to Abu Dhabi, then you are under Department of Health of Abu Dhabi. They have a high standard, both have a high standard compliance, but a different type of process where people has to understand to go further with this. In a
Yeah.
in a very quick sentence, I can say global standards open the doors, but the local compliance determines how you will be operating in that region.
Right, right. So it can be same SOPs, it can be,
Yes,
same quality management, but maybe application itself, right? The
yes,
timing and potentially additional documentation that's not identical. So it has to be
yes.
discussed and
They will
understood.
be fully comply with FDA or EMA standards, but they will still face a challenge of Middle East because local requirements have nothing to do with the high standard or compliance. It's something about workforce, strategy, healthcare policy. So
Mhm.
I always recommend companies to develop their internal process and have something called localization mindset. So we will keep harmonization. It's very important for all of us to speak the same language, but it's not only a globalization mindset, it's a localization mindset where this means you can build your local compliance map for every market, train your global headquarter on a regional obligations that is
Yeah.
required, avoiding copy and paste of the SOPs from country to country because for example, the filler, now we are, as this is the trend in the market,
Yes.
the hyaluronic filler, for example. In Oman, it's classified as a cosmetics, medicated cosmetics, which have a requirements to be registered under that. In UAE, it's a medical device where it's like country of origin. However, it's not freely priced. There is a pricing committee that it has to go through. In
It's
Saudi, it's a
range,
medical price. Yes,
range,
in
range.
Saudi, it's a medical device, but no pricing. So local requirements are still needed to understand and to dig in it because it will affect your business model and commercially it will be affected. Many stories we got that they got approvals on the product, but sorry, they cannot market it because it's not profitable.
I think you touched important point. Like we're talking about regulation, so it's basically law. Law is the first like governing, and talking to authorities and so forth. But also cost. Also, I think you mentioned before taxes.
Yes,
Also the the pricing. Like is the pricing sufficient for operation to be successful, or it gives you certain margin that the operations become profitable or not. So these things like may not come in the picture, but has to be looked like holistically as a whole. Otherwise, it's not materializing in terms of product and medication for people. That's for
I
sure.
agree.
That's for sure. Yeah, yeah. So another question, I think, in a sense, also linked, like they all are linked, how the licensing affects the product registration and
Mm.
distribution. So, any
So, do we
suggestions?
have to treat licensing not they treat some companies, do they treat the licensing as administrative step? It's not an admin work. It's something that really will build on. It's a foundation. I usually say regulatory affair is the heart of the company. If it goes well, then everything will go well. However, licensing is really important because it's the foundation. The type of licensing you are looking for, how can you import the product? How can you store it? How can you distribute it? If your licensing structure is not aligned, then your product cannot be approved. But if you got the approval, as we discussed earlier, the approval in the free zone is different than a mainland. It's different from country to country. The classification of product is different. So I believe the company has to have a strategy on licensing where you should align with a different department. You should align with a regulatory, of course, supply chain design,
Mhm.
commercial operation, legal where tax and legal planning has to be involved. As I said, many companies, when they do these studies, they will not be able to commercialize their product in the market because there will be no really a good profit out of it. So this study will reduce your cost later on and will make it easier to market access your product as well.
Right, right. No, that's important points because, as I said, each if things maybe only analytical in mind, or manufacturing in mind, or technology transfer is potentially perceived as a critical or a key, but in fact, it's what happens after. What's the end goal? End goal is to have product on the market. To
Mm,
basically provide medication or like whichever form, solid, liquid, doesn't matter, but to make it happen. So what requires, very often these things are overlooked. So I think it's good to bring it to the surface and for awareness. That's for which we have this conversation today. So in terms of you mentioned many times local partners, and so how could they help, and what is important to know about them managing
mm.
how they manage work with agencies. Any thoughts, recommendations from experience?
I believe the companies nowadays, they are more aligned and they do understand how to get their local partners because they are not just a facilitator. You cannot consider your local partner as a facilitator. They are critical success factor. They can help you in navigating the system of regulatory, managing communication with authorities, ensuring operation compliance. These are all important and key factors in successful of the business launch. So I always ask, please, when you want to get a local partner, a distributor or a regulatory local partner, or even a lawyer local partner, look into their regulatory compliance, pharmacovigilance, their communication with the authorities, their reputation in the market. Um, it has to have a clear definition of the roles and responsibility that they will get because the right partner will always give you a better successful access, and the wrong one will significantly give you a bad impact.
That impact cost, but also damaged reputation, right? Like you went
Yes,
in the wrong
yes,
step, and it's very hard to rectify. So it's so true. It's so true. So it's this again, to be looked holistically and to do good due diligence to understand and before making any moves and any decisions.
very,
And
I agree.
exactly. So I think one more question I have is about channel. It's focusing on innovative sustainability. And from your perspective, how would be the regulatory governance help to either of the sustainability pillars? So social, economical, and environmental. What would be your thoughts about it?
Absolutely, this is a very nice topic actually, and strongly the regulators' governance is looking into that sustainability in healthcare and life science. If I would say a good example of a patient, the good example of sustainability, social sustainability, which is the improvement of patient access and medicine quality. When regulators implement strong pharmacovigilance system, serialization and anti-counterfeit measurements, clearance on a quality of a product and compliance standard, accelerated the pathways of critical medicines whenever required, they directly improve the patient safety and the trust of the
Mhm.
market access of healthcare sector. Uh, this is one part of economical, let's say, sustainability as well. They are keen to do the manufacturer with a less wastage, to go digitalization with less paperwork. Sustainable manufacturer practice is always there. So I believe this is a very important key driver going with the government in our region. In other words, regulatory government is no longer only thinking about compliance, but
Mhm.
they become a strategic enabling the innovation and sustainability in healthcare system across the region.
Thank you. I think just to paraphrase for the viewers as well, that I think one of the key points, like take-home message, is that you work with regulatory partners and basically mindset shift towards perceiving them or considering them as your team in a way. People that also go same direction as yours. Maybe they have different route, but this route is parallel, and you have continuous communication to be aligned and to achieve the goal,
Very
basically
true.
bring product on the market. And same attitude, the same approach is with local partner who is helping to lend the product, whoever it could be, consultancy or maybe local manufacturer, vendor, or comprehends and already operates in the region, to treat the same way as a extended team member, as somebody who is or as an entity is a part of the company, and with a mindset that they're working together, not just shifting the work to them. It's more like going together. And in my mind, I always have comparison of plowing the field, when each maybe machine or each team goes different pathways, but they all go align to reach the end goal, to complete finishing plowing the field and actually prepare it for the next growth, for the next harvest. So that's something that comes to mind. I think it's important for the people to picture it. And then I think important part you mentioned is that to have counterfeit, strong on counterfeit, so that people in whatever country they live, they get proper medicine of what's on the label, and not just to prevent any opportunity for counterfeit to damage
Yeah.
their quality of life, because that's really life critical. And I think the third one you said about innovation. I think innovative technologies that they keep abreast, and even innovative approaches to upload the file
Yeah.
and the phone, many things up in the phone, that helps as well. You see it a lot at least in UAE. So I think that's really modern, and
I
also.
can say, and if I want to take this in one sentence, the future of healthcare in Middle East is not only driven by innovation nowadays. It's driven by effectively innovations, regulation, and sustainability work together, all together.
Together. I think that's great, kind of like a final
Yeah.
comment. Yes, as a take-home message. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Muna. Thank you so much for your time, and to come to the channel today. I think it would be
Thank you.
yeah, very interesting for viewers to see what happens here in this region, and also how they can link, or potentially bring their business. Or I know many
Sure.
interested to come here. Yes, so to
Yes, and we
use it.
can always support people who wants to come to the region for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. So I will put your contact, like
Thank you very much.
yes, both LinkedIn and email, so they can reach out. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Marina. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.